Hi everybody, we're here at the Big Dome. I am Naveen Ganglani reporting for Rappler. Today, the Smart Araneta Coliseum will play host to another chapter in the exciting rivalry of Ateneo versus De La Salle University. This is the first meeting between both teams in UAAP Season 85, and we are entering this game with Ateneo, let's just say, as of late, having dominated the series against the rivals. The Blue Eagles have won their last 7 games against the Green Archers. As a matter of fact, La Salle has not defeated Ateneo since Game 2 of the 2017 UAAP Finals. So it's been 5 years, and yes, there were 2 years in between there that we didn't have any UAAP games because of the pandemic. But for La Salle fans, they have been hungry for a win against their arch rivals. And also because during that span where Ateneo has beaten La Salle 7 straight games, the Blue Eagles have won their matchups by an average of 10 points per game. So not only have they won these matchups, they have also dominated their counterparts. So let's take a look at today's matchup. Ateneo is coming in with an undefeated 2-0 record after impressive wins against FEU and NU. De La Salle, on the other hand, is coming in with a 1-1 record after losing their opening game against UP, the defending champions, and then defeating UST in blowout fashion last Wednesday. So, what has made Ateneo impressive so far? They lost some key figures during the offseason: SJ Belangel, Gian Mamuya, Rafi Verano, Tyler Tio, and yet the system still remains intact and elite. Ange Kwame, even if he is not 100%, has played pretty close to his MVP form. He's not as athletic maybe as we've grown accustomed to seeing over the past few years, but defensively he still remains the anchor of a Blue Eagles defense that remains at the top of their game, and offensively he is still as dominant as anyone in the UAAP when it comes to the paint. Not also to mention, Fortsky Padragao, the backup point guard from the last few seasons, has stepped up and taken over the starting point guard role left by the departure of Belangel. Fortsky has been Ateneo's biggest revelation so far in UAAP Season 85. His jump shot looks good, he's setting up the offense, and there's a calming factor to when he is in the court for Tab Baldwin's system. BJ Andrade has also stepped up. Dave Ildefonso, unsurprisingly, has played well. And the bench, maybe it's not as strong as we've seen the last few years. They're a little younger than the veteran second units of Ateneo from the past few seasons. But guys like Chris Kuhn, Paul Garcia, Gab Gomez, they're dangerous, especially when left open from outside for 3-point shots. Now let's take a look at De La Salle University's roster. Michael Phillips came in as one of the favorites for the MVP award for the Green Archers. So far, his rebounding has been amazing. His shot blocking has been great. His scoring hasn't exactly caught up to the other areas, but it's coming along. But the guy who's really impressed for DLSU is Deshaun Winston, who is playing in his final season of eligibility as a Green Archer. Deshaun was on fire against UP. He was playing great against UST. He's playing even better than he did last season, which is quite impressive given he was one of the league's standouts in the tournament a few months ago. Evan Nelly missed La Salle's last game against UST on Wednesday due to a non-COVID related flu, but he's expected to be in uniform and playing today in this important matchup against the Blue Eagles. Not to mention, La Salle also has a deep roster which includes Kevin Kembao, one of the standout rookies coming into the season. They also have Joaquin Manuel, the team captain, the veteran. They also have a bunch of young guys. Penny Estacio showed some great glimpses last game. Benjamin Phillips also has now earned the starting power forward role. He's not playing a lot of minutes, but when he's in the court, he's providing hustle, some floor spacing. Overall, this is a matchup between two teams that are talented, that are good, that are defensively oriented, and well coached. Maybe Ateneo a little more than La Salle at this point because of Tab Baldwin's recent success. But Coach Derek Pumaran, let's not forget, this is a guy who has won in the UAAP before with De La Salle, in fact. Derek Pumaran, he knows these kinds of matchups. He knows the intensity that comes out when there's an Ateneo-La Salle game. He knows what's required out of his guys to step up against opponents of this quality. The question is, will La Salle be up to the task? Will his players be up to the task? Because What we saw from La Salle last week when they went up against UP was similar to the team we saw in Season 84. The ability to build a big lead, the ability to be explosive on both ends of the floor, but do they have the ability to close out opponents down the stretch of games? La Salle's offense tends to bog down a little bit, gets a little bit incompetent when they badly need a basket, and if there's one opponent you cannot do that against, it's Ateneo. Now let's take a look at the Blue Eagles. When Fortsky's in the court, the offense runs smoothly because not only is he a point guard who can shoot and create for others, but also because he can handle the ball when the defenses are pressuring on the ball handlers. Now, if there's one weakness that Ateneo has shown this season, it's the backup point guard role. Currently, that's kind of being taken over by Chris Kuhn, who naturally is more of a guard forward, at least in the UAAP. The question is, can Kuhn or anyone else, like maybe Gab Gomez or Paul Garcia, play that point guard role to avoid some of the turnover issues that have been hounding the Blue Eagles this season? That it's been 2 straight games now. We're in the second quarter. Ateneo has had a bit of a difficult time keeping the offense running, keeping the system properly in place because they've had a hard time against the pressure defensive opponents. Turnovers have been an issue. Errant passes have been an issue. Also, will the backup big man Gio Chu finally show what he's capable of? So far in 2 games this season, he hasn't been playing as well backing up Kwame. Tab Baldwin, the head coach of the Blue Eagles, said before UAAP Season 85's opening that their season might be only as good as Gio Chu plays. So far, they've done well despite Gio's, let's say, somewhat lackluster production, but will that catch up to them against a team like La Salle that has a deep collection of bigs? We mentioned Michael Phillips. We mentioned his brother Benjamin. Let's not also forget Kiambao can play as a big man. They have Raven Cortez coming off the bench. He played well last game against UST. La Salle even has another backup big man in Aaron Buensalida who hasn't gotten a lot of minutes but knows how to play once he's in the court. On top of all of that, we all know, especially if you've been watching the UAAP for years, that when it comes to Ateneo versus La Salle, a lot of times, crazy stuff happens. You know, the crowd is into it. The passion is unique. The intensity on the floor. Players from both teams, they might tell the media, oh, it's just another game. We just have to prepare for it like it's another game. But when they wake up in mornings like today, they are well aware of the fact that the whole country is watching them. This rivalry brings even the most casual viewers of basketball in the country sticking to their televisions on a Sunday afternoon, enjoying with family or friends, if they're not here. Right now, we're here at the Araneta Coliseum, and it's starting about 40 to 45 minutes before tip-off or before we start warm-ups. The crowd is starting to fill out, and after last season where we had limited audience in attendance for Season 84, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of crowd reaction we get today from a full Ateneo-La Salle matchup. Is it going to be a sea of green? Will the waves of blue dominate the arena? Or is it going to be a clash of both? Remember, the battle doesn't only take place in the basketball court. The battle also takes place in the arena with crowds chanting at each other. The Ateneo side saying, "One big fight." The green side saying, "Go La Salle." The jeers, the heckles, the kind, sweet, nothing insults that goes on behind both teams. The referees are in for quite a game as well, that's for sure. We are all in for quite a game. Now, Ateneo, as I've mentioned earlier, has dominated this matchup recently against La Salle. But this is the best La Salle team there's been in the last few years. They're deep. They're well coached. They have a great defense. Is that enough to finally solve the Ateneo riddle? Or will the Blue Eagles once again prove that when it comes to UAAP basketball, the rivalry is just a word because the competition has actually been one-sided? For Rappler, this is Naveen Ganglani. We'll catch you after the game.